Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now it is the time to introduce our main speaker tonight, who is Odat.
Hi family, my name is Odat. I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I'm powerless over alcohol, and I got a hint of unmanageability jumping off every now and then. And first of all, I want to welcome you if you're new to Alcoholics Anonymous and share with you Alcoholics Anonymous works. And let's see, Alcoholics Anonymous works. And I want to say happy birthday to the birthday people. And Jordan, where are you? Jordan, Justin? Oh, okay. Thank you for making a 12-step call on me, because it's just not easy sometimes. You know what I mean? I love Alcoholics Anonymous. I love this fellowship. You know, we laugh, we joke, we have a good time around here, but I suffer from a disease that kills. And a lot of us can get this thing just by going to meetings, but I was not one of those people. I had to go to recovery homes. And I just wholeheartedly want to share with you, if in fact you're having a problem trying to get this thing, they out there waiting. You know, because, you know, Sunday, we having a memorial for one of my sponsees who just couldn't hold on. See, I can get it, but a lot of times I can't hold on. See, all my life, I had no convictions for anything. There was absolutely nothing that I could say, man, I'm going, you know, I just really feel convicted about this thing. You know, I used to go to riots and demonstrations and what have you, but I just went because they were smoking reefer. You know, half the time, I didn't even know what they were rioting about, you know. But Alcoholics Anonymous, not only am I grateful that it was still here when I got here, but it's just important for me to carry this message. It would just tear me up, you know, because that was one of the things Bill and Bob were afraid of, that we would tear this thing asunder. I mentioned I went to recovery homes. The first one I went to was in Baltimore. It was called a Turk House. And I just went because heroin was my drug of choice. My veins were all screwed up, and I wanted to get them healed up again. So my mother used to come and visit me every Sunday, my mother and my younger brother. And meanwhile, you know, they imposed these rules and regulations for reasons. So one of the rules was don't talk to your old lovers and what have you. So every day I'm sneaking a phone call to this girl I was seeing. And you know, you can tell, you know, she like, hold on. And you know, she running to the door and smoking reefer and everything, and you know, getting me all pumped up. So one day, my mother didn't come see me. So I'm just real anxious. And I was talking to her and I got more anxious. So instead of just walking out the door, you know, I'm in a recovery home, I'm not in jail. I get one of my homegirls, and we tie up some sheets, and I throw it out the window, you know, like they do on TV, and I'm scaling the daggone wall, you know, because Head said, I'll be back. That's what Head said. Head said, I'm gonna just run over there, see what she doing, and I'll be back for dinner. Well, I ain't been back since. They still laugh at me, you know, like, why didn't you just go out the front door? And about 22 years ago, I was in this house called Bimini. Oh, first of all, you guys, I want to share with you, I'm a little nervous. And I like to share that because today I like to be honest. I don't like to perpetrate. And if you're new, you know, in step 2 it says visual proof is the weakest proof. So it doesn't matter how things appear sometimes. I just want you to know what's real. So anyway, I was in this recovery home called Bimini. And somehow I got up to Rodeo, to the meeting where, no, Carrie wasn't secretary then. A lady named Eileen was speaking. And I had gotten high that day because I was on my way to a meeting. I had like 28 days. I couldn't wait to get a 30-day chip, so I'm real excited. So we riding down Alvarado, and this girl that I'm with says, come on, let's go get high. And I just jumped up like, like it was a plan. And we went and got high. She went and got some, her thing. I went and got my thing. So I had my tools with me. So I'm up at the Rodeo meeting, crowded, just like it is right now. And somebody asked me for my phone number. I reached in my purse and thought I had a pen and pulled out some works. And I'm standing there looking crazy. And somebody said, throw them away. And I'm like, I only used them once. But then they said, no, throw them away. And I threw them away. That was the last day I got high. That was my last day of get high. And meanwhile, I went back to the Bimini, and I had to be honest and tell them that I got high. And I got honest with them, and they let me stay. But then, and I'm sharing this because I was in and out, in and out, in and out. And one of the big old signs at Bimini said, you are not here to change things, you're here to be changed. Because I always wanted to run the show. I always wanted things my way. So I'm in the Bimini, just kicking it, and they got some kind of barbecue or something. So Head said, get your girlfriend and sneak her up the back steps. So now they already gave me another chance from the get high. So now I'm creating more havoc. So I snuck my girl up the back steps. We got carried away, and now I couldn't sneak her out. So my roommate couldn't get in, she couldn't, we wouldn't let her in the room. That's what happened. That's what happened. And the bottom line was I got caught and I got kicked out of there. I got kicked out of every single solitary recovery home that I was ever in. And it was only because I could not surrender. See, I suffer from an insidious illness, and I've come to understand it. It's called alcoholism. And what that means, I have an obsession of the mind, allergy of the body. And the book says the allergy would be a moot point if my mind did not tell me to put it in me in the first place. Therefore, you guys, this disease centers in my thinking. So if the disease centers in my thinking, and I'm no longer drinking, so now what? See, the drinking and the using is just a manifestation of what's going on up here. That's all it is. I'm not drinking, I'm not using, so now it's permeating every other area of my life. That's what's happening. That's why it's okay, baby boy. It's okay. That's why it's imperative that I continue to come to meetings. See, I have not had a drink or a drug in over 21 years, but I'm still working with this. And here's the thing. What has happened in my life where today, instead of being out there waiting for you guys to come in here so I can rob your cars or whatever, I'm in here sitting trying to get into this spiritual process. What has happened? This has happened, a shift. They talk about it, it's a psychic change. It's a spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening. And all that is a change, a personality change. Bill talks about it. A personality change that is blah, 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 blah. The bottom line is it's a personality change. That's what it is. And so step one says, I'm powerless over alcohol and my life is unmanageable. It's 2 parts. It's only about 5 pages, but it's the most profound of the steps, because if I'm not clear about step 1, if I'm not clear what the problem is, hey, if I'm not clear that I have a problem with drugs and alcohol, I'm not even standing here. You hear what I'm saying? It was hard as hell for me to get up out that bed. I did not want to. I was over there marinating in my own funk, because I didn't even want to take a shower today. It's just one of them days. It was hard. But I got to do this thing to live. See, this is no joke. I laugh, I joke. I don't take myself serious, but I take this disease serious as hell. Because I see people dying every single day. I work with a lot of people, and I see them come in, they get the thing, I take them through the steps and what have you. Then all of a sudden, Head says, it's a cult. I got a couple sponsors right now. It's a cult. No, I don't want to do no fear inventory. I'm tired of sharing. I'm tired of hearing people complaining. That's one of the things. I'm tired of going to the same meetings. See, that's why I have to stay close, because my head tells me the exact same thing. See, but like I said, heroin was my drug of choice. And all that meant was I did heroin first. I like opiates. I like to go down. Then I go up. Then I just mellow out. And then I did the psychedelics. That's just the way I did it. But the bottom line is, I had to, my mind could not even comprehend on a daily basis not putting something in me. When I went in that recovery home, I went in there so I could stop shooting heroin. When they said, you can't do nothing, I just shut down. I didn't want to hear nothing else they had to say. Because my mind I couldn't fathom that. Not doing anything, a reef every now and then, a little beer, no, I wasn't going there with it. And it's only, in step 2, it says, it's only when my scorecard hits 0. You see, and that's not just with the drinking and using, that's in all areas of my life. I gotta hit 0. I gotta have no more cards up my sleeve for me to even hear. I can't hear. I can't hear nothing. See, that's the kind of disease I suffer from. This is a very insidious illness. Very insidious. It's just as deadly as cancer or lung trouble or heart disease, but it just looks different. See, because we suffer from a spiritual malady. That's what it is, so it's intangible. You can't see it. Science may one day accomplish it, but it hasn't done so yet. See, you can't even put it under the microscope. See, and the thing is, I want to combat this spiritual illness. I want to combat it financially or romantically. You know what I mean? That's the real. But it just don't work. I tried it. And today, you guys, I'm just at a whole different level of surrender. Here's the deal. This is where the solution is for me in the book. I'm in the book once a week, at least once a week. I take a group through the book. I have a lady that calls, well, she was calling me at least once a week. She calls from Australia. And I share this all the time, and I gotta email her and explain it because it's on tape before she hears it. But anyway, the bottom line is I never want to answer the phone when she calls. That's the bottom line. When she calls, she's got a block of time open for an hour, because that's the way she does it. I never, ever, ever want to answer the phone. But what happens is I have a spiritual experience. I pick up the phone, and she says, do you have time? And God speaks through me, and I say yes. But I'm never, ever, ever sitting there with my highlighter and my book waiting. You can take that to the bank. Never. As a matter of fact, oftentimes I'm hoping, damn, I hope she don't call. And here's the other thing. My spiritual experience comes through action. I was living in the valley, and my landlord, she used to have these panic attacks. I don't know nothing about no panic attacks. I thought she was tripping. I thought she was just on cocaine, So anyway, I had, my girlfriend and I had gone to Big Sur, and she had been blowing up my phone, talking about panic attacks. So when I came home, I'm all hyped up from the experience, so I listened to her. So I said, okay, next morning, if you need to go to the doctor, just knock on my door. She was the manager of the building, apartment building. She could have been blowing up anybody's phone. She blowing up my phone. So anyway, she had a little attack. And she knocked on my door at 7 o'clock in the morning. When you get sober, people don't just be knocking on your door. People usually call first. But when I'm getting high, people knocking on my door, when I had a door, ringing my bell, throwing the glass up to the window, that kind of stuff, whistling to get your attention. So when she knocked on the door, I knew it was her because I had this conversation. So now I don't want to get out of bed. We're talking 7 o'clock in the morning. But my friend was there, so she encouraged me. So I'm in the valley, I put her in my car, and we driving over to UCLA. This is God, you guys. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. This is God. And I had to stop and get gas. I'm mumbling all the way. And I'm thinking, when we get over to UCLA, I ain't even gonna stop. I'm just gonna slow down and let her jump. You know what I mean? But we get over to UCLA, now she wants me to go into triage with her. I don't even hardly know this woman. So I park the car and go into triage. And now she wants me to go in the back. So the bottom line is I'm doing all these things. I don't want to do none of them. That's what I want you to understand. I don't want to do none of it. I didn't want to answer my door. So I'm in the back. Now, they have given her something. So I'm looking at her now laying on a gurney, and then all of a sudden something happened. Something happened. Now I'm all in it. I'm thinking, hey, I can't leave her. You know what I mean? She's knocked out. She's got her cell phone. She's got her jewelry on. I got to stay here with her. See, that's how this spiritual process works for me. It's all about the action. See, because it's so easy for me to just kick back. If I go by what my head says, I ain't doing nothing, no time, no way, no how. So it's all about getting involved. Step 1 says I'm powerless. And step 1 says, once we lay hold of these principles like the drowning sees a life preserver, we almost invariably get well. You know what it looks like when you drown and you're trying to get a hold of a life preserver? See, I know because I'm not a swimmer. A lot of you guys probably swim, but I ain't no swimmer. And I've been in those pools where, you got the 5 feet, and then all of a sudden you walk too far, and it's like 9 feet, and you take a dump. And so I know what it feels like. I know what that level of desperation feels like. And I feel that a lot of times with my sponsees. Either I feel it, I sense it, or I don't. So my thing with them is, you just do your thing. When you're ready, when you can hear, when you have hit a level of desperation where you will and you ain't got a whole bunch of questions. See, because when I'm desperate, I don't have no whole bunch of questions. When I'm desperate, whatever you say, that's what I'm ready to do when I'm in a desperate state. It ain't no, well, what about God, and when is it my will, and none of that. Just tell me what to do, because I'm killing myself over here. So anyway, step 2 is like, came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. I have absolutely and positively no qualms with the fact that I'm insane. And I can go insane right here in the fellowship without the steps. See, the desperation of the drugs and alcohol got me here. But it's the steps that keep me here. You can take that to the bank. There's absolutely and positively no way that you could take something of the magnitude that I use drugs and alcohol and don't replace it with something. No way, Jose. No way. No way. And the beauty for me today is God has helped to align my thinking with this process. See, because I floundered right here in Alcoholics Anonymous for years. I came in, go to meetings and hang out, go to the parties, look for the girls, blah, blah, blah. But as far as actually getting busy, it took me a while. And everybody's level of comprehension is different, and everybody's threshold for pain is different. And I have an extremely high threshold for pain, extremely high. I used to hang out with some really, really wonderful characters, and a lot of them are no longer with us. I was born on the East Coast in the projects, and my mother was a magician because she was able to make us feel like we weren't poor. We had food every single day, and she was a seamstress, so she made our clothes, and we were pretty darn destitute. My father was a paranoid schizophrenic, and schizophrenia in itself is not so bad. It's just the fact that schizophrenics, they don't want to take their medication. That's what happens. And with him, he would take the medication, he'd get better, and then his head would tell him he no longer needed the medication. And that was just a cycle. And living in the project, every single solitary weekend, somebody was killed. And my very first bout with death, Larry Madison, he was in about first grade. He and his brother Fody climbed up on the elevator, climbed up at the top. I guess Fody lifted him up because Fody didn't die, and the elevator went all the way up to the 11th floor and crushed him. He was in the first grade or second grade, but I was at my grandmother's, and she was reading it in a paper called The Afro. That's where all of us, all our black people, that's where they put all our information, in the Afro. Regularly, my mother used to say, you guys have more people die in 1 week than I've known in a year. Every weekend, somebody was getting killed because it was the projects. Step 3 is made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand them. First of all, you guys, let me explain this. Let me go back to step 2, because I want to really clarify the fact that I do not comprehend a God of my understanding. I never have. No one has ever been able to explain to me to the degree where I can say, oh, yeah, now that sounds about right. Nowhere. It's so abstract. But here's the thing. Today, it's okay. Today, I know I am not that power. It's just so many things. You know, I look at the air, I look at the gravity, I look at the moon, the ocean, you know, just every single solitary limb. If you just look at any one of the limbs in our body, it's just magnificent how they function. You know, and man can't create a lot of this stuff. Man can't make no daggone grass. I mean, you know, we can go get some seeds, but man can't make no grass. Man can't make no gravity. You know what I mean? So it's just something out there that my mind would never be able to grasp. And today I'm okay with that. But I was not always okay. That shit drove me crazy. You know what I mean? I wanted to figure that shit out. But I can't, and that's it. That's it, and that's all. So anyway, step 4, you guys, is about that inventory. In the book it says, we are unable to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. Let me read that, page 24. We are without defense against that first drink. The almost certain consequences that follow taking even a glass of beer do not crowd into the mind to deter us. And if these thoughts occur, they're hazy, and rarely supplanted with that old threadbare idea that this time we shall handle ourselves like our fellows. There's a complete failure of the kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. That's what I suffer from. In other words, when it comes to drugs and alcohol, I can be in a diluted state. That's what it means. Yeah, okay, I got raped last week. I got stuck up. I got thrown in jail. Hey, but that was just a fluke, y'all. You know, that won't ever happen again. You know, that's what I tell myself. My mind cannot grasp the magnitude of the situation. As a result of these drugs and alcohol, I lost my kids. I lost both of them, and I never got them back. And that's forever a sore spot, particularly working with my grandkids and just seeing just how much happens in one day with a child. You know, just how much I missed. I didn't get to experience not one thing, you know, cars, their periods, their boyfriends, nothing. And it just breaks my heart. It really does. Because I feel like it put a wedge where it's just really hard to you know, compensate for that. You know, even though we have a relationship, to me, it's not like I want it to be. And I just have to settle down and just relax with it, you know, because I wasn't there when they needed me as children, and now they're both grown, and I just have to, you know, I just have to accept it the way it is what I have to do. And what I do is, I do my writing around it, and I go to my sponsor. I don't go to them. I don't try to make them feel guilty, you know, like, why don't you call, or why I always gotta call, or, you know, why don't you invite me, you know, none of that. I don't do none of that. You know, my living amends to them is just to keep showing the initiative. Just keep doing what a mother does, you know, just being kind and loving. That's it. So, step 4, I love step 4, because see, step 4 is what helps me to understand who I am. You know what I mean? I didn't know who I was. I thought I knew. That's just like I thought I knew how to communicate. I used to think just because you talk, that's communication, but it's not. First of all, you got to listen when other people talk. You know, I remember I went to therapy with a couple of relationships back. And we were doing our thing, and the therapist asked her to explain what was going on, and she was doing her thing. And I did what I always do. I just zoned out. And the therapist said, now, what did she just say? I said, oh, that's a trick. You didn't tell me I was supposed to be paying attention, you know. But the reality is, that's always been my Achilles heel. You know, I talk, and then when I slow down, you jump in, and then while you talking, I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say when you stop. You know, that's the way I always communicated, but that's not it. Now what I do is I try to share exactly, I get concise, you know, I get clarity. These are all new words that I've learned, you guys. Clarity. Anyway, I get some clarity, first of all, about what I need to express. I express it, and then when you express what it is you need to share, I'm listening. My mind is open, and I want to hear exactly what, in the context that you want to explain it. So that's new. It's new for me. You know, I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited to be alive, you guys. I really am. I'm just really grateful that God has allowed me to live long enough to make it to these rooms and for most of my family to see me make it to these rooms. Because it ain't no easy journey to get here, and it ain't no easy journey to stay here. For sure, for sure. I was a wheeler and dealer. And in the projects, all my brothers and all my cousins, they were all very dangerous people, to say the least. And they handled a lot of the merchandise, you know, the illegal merchandise in the area. And two of my cousins had nerve to be in the FBI. Can you believe that? And they were my first cousins, so they had the same last name I had. So they're not in it anymore, but they helped us out quite a bit, because they used to let us know when, you know, things were getting ready to jump off. Maybe that's the reason why they're not in it anymore. But you know, it's funny, when I was getting high, it's amazing to me that I didn't think that people saw me the way I really was. I was just running around crazy as a loon, and this guy across the street called me because he wanted me to start selling some stuff for him. And I'm thinking, well, why would he pick me? Now, I'm the craziest looking one in the block. Wow, anybody can tell. You know, Ray Charles could tell that I was getting high. And he wanted me to sell some merchandise that I didn't know how to sell, so I pulled my brother in. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm pulling my brother in now. He's going to really put me down. But I forgot that when he was in jail, and the guy he was working for gave me the money to get him out on bail. And you know what I did with it? So I'm pissed off because now he's in a position to help me out, but I forgot what I did to him when he was in jail. You see what I'm saying? Where does it say that in the book? I was looking for that. It's a certain area. Wait a minute, you guys. Just hold on. Oh, man, I know I'm not going to be able to find it because I want to. Darn. Damn. But anyway, he was pissed off, and he never did put me down. Oh God, I'm so discombobulated now. Yeah, drug deal, thanks. The drug deals were rampant. You know, my brother had a lot of different, he was the man in charge. And I wanted to set my brother up. I had planned on setting my brother up because he wouldn't put me down. But I didn't want nobody to hurt him. But I realized my brother was not giving up the drugs because his road dog, they took him to the front door with the gun on his head, and my brother wouldn't open the door. So I said, damn, you know, he ain't joking. Anyway, step 4 is about the inventory, you guys. Getting clear about who I am and why I do what I do. And it took me a long time to really get into step 4, and people used to ask me, my sponsor asked me, why was I afraid? And I didn't think I was afraid because I thought afraid was just, you know, when you're scared of things, like, you know, like guns and what have you. But I was afraid. I was afraid to see. I didn't want to see clearly what the deal was. And when I did my first inventory, I was afraid to put down on paper exactly what I felt because I knew exactly at some point I was supposed to share that with another human being. And the biggest thing that I thought I'd keep to myself was the fact that my father molested me. I was going to take that one to the grave. And when I put down on paper and shared that with my first sponsor, and she shared with me what she had gone through, that was a big relief. You see, I had never, ever, ever, even when I went to therapy one-on-one, I had never shared that with another human being. Even my cousin, my road dogs, nobody. I had written it down in my diary, but he got it, and he read it. And I felt real unsafe. So what I'm saying is, they say your secret's your secrets. And today I don't have any secrets. Every single solitary thing I've ever done, I've shared with my sponsor. And it gives me some type of emotional buoyancy. Because even here in Alcoholics Anonymous, my pride, my ego will kill me. See, my head says, don't say that. My head says, don't share that. My head says, don't raise your hand. Don't get vulnerable. But it's the vulnerability that gives me the clarity and gives me the buoyancy that I'm looking for. See, they say in the beginning, share in a, what did they say? Share in a general way. Share in a general way. When I first got here, nothing was general. See, so the more I clean house, the more general everything becomes. Today, everything is general. For me to share with you that my father molested me, I don't know half of you guys. I don't know hardly none of you guys. And I'm telling you, my lips could not part. Those words couldn't run across my lips. But it's only because, for the first time in my life, I was willing to listen to another human being. You see what I'm saying? When I got here, I got a sponsor, and for the first time in my life, I was willing to adhere to somebody else. See, because all my life, it didn't matter what I thought or whether I thought it made sense, I was in charge. And it wasn't even anything conscious. You know, I was just driven. I was self-propelled, impulsive. Before I could even finish thinking it, I was always in it. And then I was wondering, what the hell, how did this happen one more time? And today it's about pause, restraint of pen and tongue. Pause. I say it all the time. You know, on these daggone computers, when you hit send, it should say, are you sure? You know what I mean? Are you sure? I've gotten in so much trouble pushing that daggone send. You know, because as soon as I push it sometime, I'm like, oh, I wish I could take that back. You know, but it's about pausing. Today, I'm clear about boundaries. I'm clear about flexibility. And I know today, if I'm mistreated, I do not have to respond immediately. If you say something to me I don't like, I don't have to respond to you immediately. I can go and get some clarity on it, but I know that I'm going to address the issue. That's what I know. I know for sure. If you do something that doesn't rub me the right way, and here's another thing I've learned. I ask questions, because what I say is, you know, what exactly did you mean when you said so-and-so? Because generally I go up there, what the hell are you talking about? What you mean by such and such, such and such? But no, it's like, what exactly did you know, in the book it says you put it on yourself. It said, maybe it's me, maybe it's the way I comprehended it, but could you explain that a little better? You know, that's what you guys have taught me. See, when I got my kids back, or before I got them back, you guys told me exactly how to do it. You said, develop some continuity in their lives. Every single week, you call them at the same time. And see, for the first time in my life, I was willing to listen. I cannot impress upon you enough, you guys, how imperative it is for me to surrender to some new information. See, because the reason why I expose what I'm thinking is because what I'm thinking half the time is macabre. Well, I ain't gonna say half the time, but often. You know, it's pretty gruesome up there. And if I don't expose to you what I'm thinking, I think it's real. It turns into a reality. Just like I think that, you know, I can get high one more time. If I don't expose that, you know, it festers. I got a sponsee just the other day, just told me she got loaded. Again. And what happened, see, we're not able to see the process. She was already thinking about getting high, but didn't talk about it. You see, and that happens not just with the drugs and alcohol in all my affairs. See, I have an obsession of the mind, allergy of the body, and it transcends drugs and alcohol. Let me tell you about this ice cream thing. Some of you guys may have already heard about my pint a day. Well, I crossed the invisible line. I said, I wanted some ice cream, and I'd already said I'm gonna get 3 scoops. I was going to get some butter pecan from Baskin Robbins. So I get there, and I gotta wait. So I'm looking around, and I see the refrigerator. I'd never seen a refrigerator, because I always get the hand packed. So I see the refrigerator, and I see, what is it? A quart. Now, I didn't even see the butter pecan, so I'm getting ready to let it go, but then I had nerve to ask, do you have butter pecan packed? So she said, there it is, right there in front of your face. See, God was looking out for me. He wasn't even letting me see it. So anyway, I I got the ice cream, and I figured out it was cheaper to get the packed quart than the 3 scoops. So, of course, Head said, you're going to save half. That's what Head said. But I knew I was in trouble when she said, you want a bag? I said, no, I don't even need a bag. And so here I go with this quart of butter pecan ice cream, this little itty bitty pink spoon, plastic spoon. I couldn't even get to my car. I had to sit right there in the entryway. And I'm digging this hard-ass ice cream with a little plastic spoon. And I felt myself slipping, so I called 2 of my sponsees. One wasn't home, and one didn't like butter pecan ice cream. So it was on and cracking. But see, that's where I go. And here's the thing. This is what I'm clear about is I don't know. See, my mind comes up with a lot of different thoughts every single day, and I don't know which thought my mind is going to hold on to. Oh, my God. Oh, okay. It's over, right? I never know which thought my mind is going to hold on to. See, because, you know, all the thoughts be lining up, and then my mind just grabs onto one thought, and I just obsess. See, I never know what it's going to be. That's why I have to stay with you guys. But let me just quickly say, I had to get a sponsor who had a sponsor who's willing to take me through the steps, because there's a lot of people around here that do things differently. I had to go through the steps, you guys. I had to get commitments. I had to be of service. When people call me, I call them back. And the only reason why I don't call them back sometimes is because my life is a little unmanageable and I forget. See, if I'm driving and pick up my messages, see, usually I have to write them down. I try to, if I'm on my cell phone, hit skip, you know, instead of actually hitting the 9 and taking it all the way to the other thing, I hit skip so it's right close. You know, I got to come up with some kind of way, you know, because, you know, I just can't remember everything. So anyway, the bottom line is I call everybody back. I don't care whether I like you or not. I call people back because I think it's inconsiderate, but I've gotten to that place. I go through the steps on a regular basis. I had 3 panels, but I only have 2 now because they closed it down. See, I have to give it back.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app. to calibration mode. First, I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.